Dr. Emily Winters adjusted her collar for the 5th time, feeling the weight of humanity's future pressing down on her shoulders. The crystalline chamber of the Galactic Council stretched impossibly high above her, its transparent walls refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Before her, 12 space lords towered in their environment suits, their bioluminescent forms pulsing with what she had learned to recognize as barely contained disdain. "Your species," Grand Lord Silith's translator crackled, "has become an irritant." The being's crystalline form shifted colors from deep blue to an aggressive red. "Your primitive vessels crowd our trading lanes. Your crude attempts at faster-than-light travel endanger established routes. Your very presence," a pause, followed by a pulse of disgusted purple, "disturbs the harmony of civilized space." Emily maintained her diplomatic posture, years of training keeping her expression neutral. Inside, her mind raced through scenarios, calculating responses and potential outcomes. The chamber's other occupants, representatives from 30 different spacefaring races, watched with varying degrees of interest. Some, like the methane-breathing Cordolians, seemed almost sympathetic. Others, particularly the silicon-based Vixthi, radiated the same contempt as the Space Lords. "Grand Lord," Emily began, her voice steady despite the pressure, "humanity has followed every regulation set forth by the Council since our acceptance into the galactic community. Our ships maintain designated corridors, our colonies respect territorial boundaries, and our scientific advances." "Your scientific advances," interrupted Lord Mereth, the smallest of the Space Lords at merely 12 feet tall, "are precisely our concern. In the past Earth decade alone, your species has progressed from primitive chemical rockets to rudimentary fold drives. Such rapid advancement is unsettling." Emily fought back a smile. They were afraid. Not of what humanity was, but of what they could become. The Space Lords had ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years, their technological superiority unchallenged. Until now. "Therefore," Grand Lord Silith continued, his crystalline form now pulsing with authoritative gold, "the Council presents you with a choice. Prove humanity's worth as a spacefaring species, or face permanent quarantine within your solar system." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Even among the Galactic Council, such an ultimatum was unprecedented. Quarantine meant more than isolation. It meant economic death, cultural stagnation, and the end of humanity's dreams of reaching the stars. "You have 6 of your months," Lord Mereth added, clearly enjoying the moment. "Demonstrate your species' capability to contribute meaningfully to galactic civilization. Show us your finest vessel, your greatest achievement in space warfare capability. Prove you can defend your place among the stars." Emily's hand slipped into her pocket, fingers brushing against her quantum communicator. The message she'd been waiting to send had already been prepared. "Execute Protocol Hydra." 3 simple words that would set in motion plans decades in the making. "The Council expects you to fail," Silith stated, his tone final. "Your species lacks the unity, the discipline, and the technological sophistication to produce anything that could impress us. But protocol demands we give you this chance." Emily straightened her back, standing as tall as her 5'9" frame would allow. "Humanity accepts your challenge, Grand Lord. We request the full 6 months for preparation, and we will present our demonstration here, in this very chamber." The Space Lord's crystalline forms flickered with amusement. 6 months was barely enough time to design a vessel, let alone build one. Their victory, they believed, was assured. "Permission granted," Silith declared. "You may go." As Emily turned to leave, she allowed herself a small smile. Let them think humanity would try to build a single mighty vessel. Let them believe they understood the limits of human potential. In 6 months, they would learn why humanity had spent the last decade preparing not for war, but for this exact moment. She sent the message. Across Earth and its colonies, thousands of seemingly ordinary ships received their wake-up call. The game was on. The Houston Space Center's underground facility hummed with activity as Admiral James Cooper studied the holographic display before him. Red dots representing Space Lord observation vessels blinked lazily around Earth's orbit, while thousands of green markers showed civilian ships going about their seemingly routine business. "They're watching exactly what we want them to watch," Dr. Winters said, stepping through the blast doors into the command center. Her diplomatic attire had been replaced by a practical flight suit, the United Earth Defense Force insignia gleaming on her shoulder. Cooper nodded, his weathered face illuminated by the hologram's glow. "Project Swarm is already at 60% activation. Every trucker, cruise captain, and space miner who signed the contingency contracts is responding. Even got old Bill Matthews to fire up his garbage scow ahead of schedule. The Space Lords expect us to empty our military budget building some grand dreadnought," Emily replied, pulling up classified files on her tablet. "Their spies are all over our naval shipyards, watching us waste resources on decoy construction projects." The Admiral chuckled, zooming in on a sector near Mars. Meanwhile, Betty Thompson's passenger liner just finished installing its metamaterial combat plating. Looking at her ship's public specs, you'd think she was hauling tourists to the Martian ruins. In reality, she's commanding what amounts to a stealth destroyer, Emily finished. "How many ships are combat ready?" 3,000 as of this morning. The real challenge isn't the hardware. We've been smuggling that into civilian vessels for years. It's the training. Can't exactly have the Henderson family's mining crew practice battlefield formations without raising suspicions. Emily pulled up another display, this one showing hundreds of interconnected virtual reality networks. "That's why we have the underground. Every civilian captain registered with Project Swarm has been running combat simulations in their sleep pods. We disguised it as a popular online game 5 years ago. Space Trader Ultimate." Cooper laughed. "My grandson's addicted to it. Doesn't realize he's actually learning advanced fleet tactics." A red alert flashed on the main display. Cooper's expression hardened as he expanded the notification. "Space Lord diplomatic vessel requesting permission to inspect the Seattle orbital shipyards. They're getting nervous about all the civilian traffic." Emily smiled. "Let them look. The decoy super dreadnought we're trying to build should keep them entertained." Meanwhile, she pulled up a live feed from Nevada, where a convoy of trucks labeled Wilson Furniture Moving was transporting what appeared to be standard shipping containers. In reality, each container held components for the fleet's quantum targeting network. "How's the weapons integration coming along?" Cooper asked, pulling up diagnostic reports from across the globe. "Ask Mike O'Malley's garbage collection fleet. Those debris processing lasers they've been testing. Each one can punch through battleship armor. The Space Lords are so convinced of their superiority, they never questioned why we needed such powerful equipment just to clean up space junk." The Admiral's tablet chimed with an update. "Speaking of superiority, we just got confirmation from the lunar bases. Every civilian habitat pod shipped up there in the last 3 years contains a dormant shield generator. Once activated, they'll form an energy web capable of protecting the entire fleet." Emily watched as more green dots appeared on the display, civilian vessels of all sizes moving into position under the guise of routine operations. The Space Lords would see a chaotic mess of human inefficiency. They'd never suspect each ship was taking up precise tactical positions for the demonstration to come. 4 months left, Cooper noted, checking the countdown clock. "Think we'll be ready." Dr. Winters thought about the Space Lords' sneering faces, their certainty of human inadequacy. "We've been ready for years, Admiral. They just gave us an excuse to show them why you should never underestimate humanity's ability to work together when pushed into a corner." Above them, another cargo ship lifted off from Houston Spaceport, its holds filled with what manifests listed as agricultural supplies. The Space Lords' observers would log it as yet another example of inefficient human commerce. None of them would guess those farming tools could transform into the largest electronic warfare suite ever built. The game, as Emily had noted, was indeed on. Captain Jessica Hayes stood at the helm of the Paradise Voyager, ostensibly a luxury space cruise liner currently docked at Lunasport Armstrong. Through the viewport, she watched a Space Lord inspection vessel drift past, its crystalline surface refracting sunlight across her bridge. "Ma'am," her first officer whispered, "they're scanning us again. Third time this week." Jessica smiled, knowing exactly what the aliens would find. A standard Willis-class passenger ship with all the expected amenities, swimming pools, entertainment decks, and tourist viewing galleries. The Space Lord's sensors would never detect that those pools contained rapid-hardening liquid armor, or that the entertainment system doubled as a battlefield command center. "Let them look," she said, purposely shuffling tourist manifests on her display. "How's our special cargo doing, Sarah?" Her first officer checked a hidden panel. "All 200 sleep pods are maintaining optimal temperature. Of course, if anyone bothered to check inside, they'd find our missile banks instead of snoring passengers." Across the lunar surface, Mike O'Malley's garbage SCO, Clean Sweep, was performing its weekly collection route. The Space Lords had initially been curious about the vessel's oversized collection arrays, but lost interest after watching it spend 3 months picking up space debris. They hadn't noticed that each piece of trash was actually a component for what would become the largest EMP weapon ever constructed by human hands. "Hey, Jessica." Mike's voice crackled over their secure channel, disguised as routine traffic chatter. "Got some recycling headed your way. Mind if we practice our formation flying? These new garbage routes are tricky." Formation flying was code for combat maneuver practice. Jessica checked her tactical display, cleverly disguised as a passenger entertainment schedule. "Sure thing, Mike. Those new regulations are a pain. Let's show these observers how inefficient human pilots can be." What followed was actually a perfectly executed series of military formations, masked as clumsy civilian attempts to navigate space lanes. Every near miss was calculated, every accidental proximity alert precisely timed. In her pocket, Jessica's quantum communicator buzzed. A message from Dr. Winters. "Protocol Hydra Phase 3 initiated. Begin weapons integration testing. Time for the evening entertainment," Jessica announced over the ship-wide comm. As passengers gathered in the main hall for what they thought would be a dance party, the floor beneath them imperceptibly tested its transformation sequence. Each deck plate contained modular armor segments that could reconfigure the entire ship in minutes. O'Malley's voice came through again. "Got some unusual readings from that debris field at Mark 7. Might need to clean it up with the new laser array." Jessica checked her real tactical display, hidden in her neural implant. The debris field was actually a classified testing ground. "Better give it full power, Mike. Don't want any accidents out here." The Space Lord vessel turned to observe as O'Malley's ship fired its cleaning laser at a large piece of space junk. The alien sensors would record a standard debris vaporization. They wouldn't detect the military-grade targeting systems being calibrated, or realize the beam had actually been precise enough to carve Earth's coordinates onto a piece of debris smaller than a coin. "Your species' inefficiency is remarkable," a Space Lord observer transmitted, their tone dripping with condescension. 3 vessels requiring 15 minutes to clear a simple debris field. "We're doing our best, Your Excellency," Jessica replied, layering her voice with apologetic humility. "Human technology is so primitive compared to yours." As if to prove her point, she deliberately bumped her ship against O'Malley's, triggering a series of apologetic communications. The Space Lords never realized they'd just witnessed a perfectly executed fuel transfer, replenishing the hidden weaponry in both vessels. 2 more months, Jessica sub-vocalized to her crew through their neural network. "Keep playing the part. Let them think we're just bumbling tourists and garbage collectors." Above them, the Space Lord vessel moved on, having seen exactly what humanity wanted them to see. They never suspected that beneath the civilian facades, humanity's hidden arsenal grew stronger every day, waiting for the moment to show the galaxy why underestimating humans was the last mistake many species would ever make. The observation deck of Luna Base Alpha, offered a spectacular view of what the Space Lords considered chaos. Thousands of civilian vessels swarmed Earth's orbit in seemingly random patterns, like angry bees around a disturbed hive. Dr. Emily Winters stood beside Admiral Cooper, watching their plan unfold. Status report from all sectors. Cooper's neural implant transmitted directly to Emily's. Operation Looking Glass is proceeding exactly as planned. The Space Lord's frustration is reaching critical levels. Through the reinforced windows, they could see 3 crystalline ships of the Space Lords, their surfaces flickering with annoyed purples and reds as they attempted to make sense of the unprecedented human activity. The aliens had expected to find Earth's shipyards working frantically on a single massive vessel. Instead, they watched what appeared to be the largest traffic jam in human history. Message from Grand Lord Silith, Emily's aide announced, hurrying onto the deck. They're demanding an explanation for the unprecedented civilian interference with standard space lanes. Emily allowed herself a small smile. Tell them that due to their upcoming demonstration requirements, many of our civilian vessels are being rerouted to alternative vectors. Apologize for any inconvenience, of course. Henderson Family Shipping reports their entire fleet is in position. Cooper added, studying real-time updates. Disguised as a supply chain backup, the Space Lords just filed their 3rd complaint about human inefficiency. Through her neural interface, Emily accessed the classified command network. Every civilian vessel was reporting ready status, their weapons and systems hidden beneath layers of what appeared to be commercial modifications. The deception was so complete that even Earth's own orbital traffic control had to maintain 2 separate systems, one showing the chaos the Space Lords expected to see, and another displaying the actual military precision of the operation. They're scanning the shipyards again, Cooper noted, watching the crystalline ships direct their sensors toward Earth's primary construction facilities. Still convinced we're hiding a super weapon in there somewhere. Let them look, Emily replied. Those decoy projects are burning through just enough resources to seem desperate. Meanwhile, she gestured to the swarm of civilian ships, each one a disguised weapon platform. We're hiding our arsenal in plain sight. A flash of light drew their attention as a massive passenger liner, the Star Dreams, executed what appeared to be a clumsy course correction. In reality, Captain Lisa Rodriguez had just completed testing her vessel's tactical thrusters, disguising the military maneuver as tourist incompetence. 2 weeks until the demonstration, Cooper mused, watching another cluster of ships move into precise formation under the guise of avoiding a non-existent navigation hazard. The Space Lords are getting nervous. They expected us to fail months ago. Emily's neural implant pinged with an urgent update. The VIX, the ambassador, is requesting an emergency meeting. Apparently, they're concerned about the erratic behavior of our civilian fleet. The same VIX who voted in favor of our quarantine. Cooper's weathered face broke into a grin. Funny how they're not so confident now that we're actually gathering our forces. Through the window, they watched as Mike O'Malley's garbage fleet performed another routine debris sweep, their formation perfectly mirroring ancient naval battle tactics. The Space Lords observed with growing frustration, unable to understand why humans couldn't even clean their space lanes efficiently. Message from Captain Hayes, Emily's aide reported. The Paradise Voyager's passengers are complaining about all the course corrections. She's requesting permission to explain the situation. Denied, Emily replied firmly. The civilians on those ships can't know what's coming. Not yet. Their genuine frustration sells our cover story. As night fell over the lunar surface, Earth's orbital space continued to fill with vessels of all sizes and descriptions. To the Space Lords, it looked like pandemonium, the desperate thrashing of a primitive species about to face judgment. They never suspected that each ship's position had been calculated years in advance, or that every apparent traffic jam was actually a battle formation in disguise. The storm was gathering, hidden behind a veil of human inefficiency. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn why humanity's greatest weapon had always been their ability to work together, even when they appeared to be falling apart. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with anticipation. Representatives from 30 spacefaring races gathered to witness what they assumed would be humanity's humiliation. The Space Lords' crystalline forms towered above the assembly, their surfaces pulsing with smug satisfaction. "The time has come," Grand Lord Selith announced, his translator barely containing his contempt. "Let humanity demonstrate their worthiness, if they can." Dr. Emily Winters stood calmly at the chamber's center, Admiral Cooper at her side. Through the transparent walls, Earth's orbit appeared clogged with civilian vessels, a chaotic mess of commercial traffic that made several council members cringe visibly. "Before we begin," Emily addressed the council, her voice steady, "I would like to thank the Space Lords for this opportunity. You asked to see humanity's greatest vessel." She paused, allowing herself a small smile. "Instead, we'll show you all of them." Cooper raised his hand, activating his neural implant. Project Swarm, execute Protocol Hydra. Final phase. The transformation began with the Paradise Voyager. Its tourist-friendly exterior suddenly split along invisible seams, panels shifting and realigning. The swimming pools drained, revealing missile batteries. Entertainment decks retracted, exposing energy weapon arrays. Within seconds, the luxury liner had become a fully armed battlecruiser. By the eternal stars, a Cordolian delegate gasped as the change rippled through Earth's orbit. Mike O'Malley's garbage scow shed its corroded exterior like a snake's skin, revealing pristine armor plating beneath. His collection array unfolded into the largest EMP cannon ever constructed. The Henderson family's freight haulers split apart, their cargo containers combining to form orbital defense platforms. Impossible. Lord Marath's crystalline form flashed with alarmed purples and reds. "They're civilian vessels. They're all warships," Emily finished. "Every single one. That broken-down passenger shuttle. A stealth fighter. The school ship running education flights. A drum carrier. The hospital ship. A mobile repair and rearmament platform." The chamber watched in stunned silence as humanity's true fleet emerged. 10,000 ships moved in perfect synchronization, their formations no longer disguised as traffic jams. Each vessel bore the marks of its civilian role proudly alongside its military capability. "You asked for one ship to prove our worth," Cooper addressed the council. "We gave you an Armada. Every civilian captain trained in combat. Every commercial vessel built for dual purpose. This is humanity's greatest achievement. Not a single supreme weapon, but the transformation of our entire society into a defense force." The Space Lords' scans washed over the fleet, revealing layers of technology they'd dismissed as primitive now working in harmony. Civilian power plants became weapon energizers. Communication arrays transformed into electronic warfare suites. Even the small maintenance drones revealed hidden military protocols. "The demonstration is not complete," Emily announced, her voice carrying across the now silent chamber. "Captain Hayes, if you would." The Paradise Voyager, now a sleek instrument of war, transmitted a signal. Every ship in Earth's orbit responded, their systems linking together in a display of coordination that made several council members step back in awe. The entire fleet moved as one organism, executing maneuvers that should have been impossible for such diverse vessels. "You see," Emily continued, "humanity's strength was never in building the biggest ship or the strongest weapon. Our power lies in unity, in taking every vessel, every captain, every civilian role, and making it part of our collective defense." The Space Lords' crystalline forms had lost their smug coloration, now pulsing with mix of fear and grudging respect. Their scans had finally penetrated the decades of deception, revealing a military force unlike anything the galaxy had seen. "This is what humanity offers the galaxy," Emily concluded. "Not just ships that can fight, but vessels that can build, heal, teach, and protect. Every vessel in our fleet can return to its civilian role as easily as it transformed for battle. We don't just wage war, we wage peace." The chamber erupted in discussion as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just passed the test. They'd rewritten the rules of galactic civilization. And they'd done it not through supreme firepower, but through the one thing the Space Lords had never expected: the complete unification of civilian and military potential. Lisa Rodriguez, former cruise ship captain and now commander of the battle-ready Paradise Voyager, keyed her neural interface to broadcast across all frequencies. The Space Lords had demanded a demonstration of combat capabilities. She would give them one they'd never forget. "Paradise Battle Group, execute Maneuver Thunderbolt," she commanded. Her ship, along with 5 other transformed civilian vessels, split into their component sections. What had once been tourist observation decks and luxury suites now operated as independent combat platforms, each armed with weapons disguised as entertainment systems. In the council chamber, Dr. Winters gestured to the display. "Observe how our vessels don't simply transform. They evolve." Captain Rodriguez's ship isn't just one warship. It's 6 specialized combat units working in perfect harmony. The Space Lords watched, their crystalline forms flickering with increasing agitation as the Paradise Battle Group demonstrated abilities that should have been impossible for primitive human technology. Each component ship fired its weapons in precise sequences, creating interlocking fields of fire that could shred even the strongest defenses. "Henderson Fleet, demonstrate orbital defense protocol," Admiral Cooper ordered. The Henderson family's cargo haulers, previously dismissed as simple freight vessels, suddenly released thousands of small objects. What appeared to be standard shipping containers unfolded into a network of defensive platforms, creating a shield grid that could protect the entire Earth from orbital bombardment. "Impossible," Lord Marath whispered, his translator crackling with disbelief. "The energy requirements alone are met through our distributed power network," Emily explained. "Every ship in our fleet can share energy, creating a power grid greater than the sum of its parts. Those solar panels you mocked, they're actually quantum energy collectors." Mike O'Malley's voice boomed through the chamber. "Clean sweep squadron. Show them what real space cleanup looks like." His garbage collection fleet moved into formation, their debris processing arrays combining into a massive energy weapon. The beam they fired could have sliced through a moon, but instead, it precisely carved the United Earth Defense Force emblem onto a derelict satellite 50,000 kilometers away. "The accuracy," a Cordolian delegate exclaimed. "Even our best weapons can't match it," Cooper finished. "Because we didn't build super weapons. We built precision instruments that happen to be capable of warfare. Every weapon in our fleet is designed to minimize collateral damage and maximize efficiency." The demonstration continued as civilian vessel after civilian vessel revealed their hidden capabilities. A school ship deployed squadrons of combat drones disguised as teaching aids. A medical transport unleashed healing nanites that could repair battle damage in minutes. "But the true power of our fleet," Emily announced, "isn't in its weapons or defenses. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, if you would." The Paradise Voyager's first officer activated their ship's final transformation. The vessel's hull seemed to ripple, and suddenly it was civilian again. Weapons hidden, luxury amenities restored, ready to continue its peaceful mission. In less than 30 seconds, Emily explained to the stunned council, "Any ship in our fleet can return to its civilian role. We built a defense force that doesn't sacrifice its primary purpose. Our vessels don't just protect humanity. They serve it." The Space Lord's scans confirmed what they were seeing. Every vessel could switch between civilian and military modes almost instantly. The technology required to maintain both functions simultaneously was beyond anything they'd believed humans capable of achieving. "This is what we offer the galaxy," Emily concluded. "Not just military might, but adaptability. Not just weapons, but tools that can build as easily as they can destroy. Our fleet represents humanity's greatest strength, our ability to prepare for the worst while working toward the best." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just created a powerful fleet. They'd revolutionized the very concept of space warfare. Their true power wasn't in their weapons or technology, but in their refusal to sacrifice civilian progress for military might. They had found a way to have both, and in doing so, they had changed the rules of galactic civilization forever. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. Grand Lord Silith's crystalline form shifted through colors that hadn't been seen in millennia, shades of uncertainty and revelation that made younger council members murmur in astonishment. "You hide your war fleet among your civilians," Lord Mareth finally spoke, his translator struggling to convey his complex emotions. "You make your merchants into warriors, your teachers into commanders, your healers into soldiers. This is unprecedented." Dr. Emily Winters stepped forward, her voice carrying across the chamber. "No, Lord Mareth, we didn't turn civilians into warriors. We created a society where every citizen understands their role in our collective defense while maintaining their primary purpose of building a better future." Admiral Cooper activated a holographic display showing real-time feeds from various ships. On the Paradise Voyager, tourists were returning to their cabins, completely unaware that their luxury suites had briefly served as weapon control centers. The Henderson family's freighter was already back to loading cargo, its battle platforms seamlessly integrated into its commercial operations. "Look at our fleet now," Emily gestured to the displays. "Every ship you see is already back to its civilian duties. Captain Hayes is planning tomorrow's entertainment schedule. Mike O'Malley's collecting actual debris. The school ship is conducting a real astronomy class, but each of them could transform back to combat readiness in moments if needed." "And the crew?" a Cordolian delegate asked, their methane atmosphere bubbling with curiosity. "These civilians, they accept this dual role." In response, Emily opened a live channel to Sarah Chen, now back at her post as the Paradise Voyager's first officer. "Tell them, Sarah, tell them about your normal day." "Well," Sarah's voice echoed through the chamber, "in about an hour, I'll be organizing the ship's evening dinner service. Before that, I was helping coordinate a battle formation of 10,000 vessels. Tomorrow morning, I'll teach a dance class in what was briefly a missile control room. This isn't just what we do, it's who we are." The Space Lord's colors shifted again as they processed this information. Their scans showed hundreds of similar scenes playing out across the human fleet, civilian life seamlessly intertwined with military capability. "But the psychological burden," Lord Mareth protested, "to live always ready for war." "That's where you're wrong," Cooper interrupted. "We don't live ready for war. We live ready to protect what matters." "There's a difference. Every captain in our fleet would rather transport passengers than fire weapons. Every ship would rather build than destroy. But if threatened, we stand together." Emily brought up another display, showing children on the school ship learning combat algorithms disguised as mathematics puzzles. "From their earliest days, our people understand that defense isn't just a military responsibility. It's a community duty. We don't divide our society into civilian and military sectors. We unite them." The chamber's atmosphere changed as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just created a powerful fleet. They'd fundamentally reimagined how a spacefaring civilization could approach the concept of defense. "And this is why," Emily concluded, "we didn't build a single mighty vessel to impress you. We showed you something far more valuable. A society that can transition from peace to war and back again without losing its soul. Every ship in our fleet represents not just military power, but human potential." Grand Lord Silith's form finally settled into a deep blue of profound understanding. "You offer the galaxy more than weapons," the translator conveyed. "You offer a new way of existing among the stars." "Yes," Emily smiled, "because humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our tactics. It's our ability to prepare for the darkest possibilities while never losing sight of our brightest dreams." Above them, the human fleet continued its duties, each ship a testament to this philosophy. They had come to prove their worth as a spacefaring species. Instead, they had shown the galaxy a new definition of civilization itself. And this was only the beginning. Grand Lord Silet's crystalline form had settled into a deep, contemplative gold as he addressed the Galactic Council. The chamber, still processing humanity's demonstration, waited in unprecedented silence. In 50,000 years of space governance, Xylith's translator conveyed, "We have never witnessed anything like this. Dr. Emily Winters, Admiral Cooper, humanity has done more than prove their worth. You have shown us our own complacency." Emily stood proudly beside Cooper, watching as the Paradise Voyager glided past the chamber's transparent walls, now fully restored to its luxury cruise configuration. Inside, passengers were enjoying their evening dinner, blissfully unaware that their vacation had just changed galactic history. Therefore, Xylith continued, his form pulsing with formal patterns, the Council extends an unprecedented offer. We would have humanity join the Space Lords as equals, sharing your defensive philosophy with the galaxy. Murmurs erupted across the chamber. In the entire history of galactic civilization, no species had ever been elevated directly to Space Lord status. The proposal was revolutionary. "With respect, Grand Lord," Emily replied, "we have a counter-proposal." Cooper stepped forward, activating a holographic display showing the human fleet returning to its civilian duties. "Instead of joining the Space Lords, we propose a new division within the Council, the Office of Civilian Defense Integration." "Its purpose?" Lord Marath asked, his crystalline surface flickering with interest. "To teach other civilizations our methods," Emily explained. "Not to make every species copy our exact approach, but to help them find their own way to balance civilian progress with defensive capability." The display shifted to show the Henderson family's freighter, its hidden weapon platforms now seamlessly integrated into its cargo operations. Every species has its own strengths, its own cultural values. We don't want to replace those. We want to help them enhance them. As we speak, Cooper added, Captain Hayes is preparing training protocols. The Paradise Voyager will become the first of many diplomatic vessels, teaching other worlds how to implement similar systems while respecting their unique societies. The Space Lords conferred among themselves, their colors shifting in rapid patterns. Finally, Xylith spoke again. "Your proposal has merit, but such changes will face resistance. Many civilizations have grown comfortable with the old divisions between civilian and military sectors." Emily smiled. "Change always faces resistance, but look at what humanity achieved in secret while you thought we were simply being inefficient. Imagine what we could achieve together, openly, with the full support of the Council." The chamber erupted in discussion as species after species requested to be first in line for the new program. The Cordolians wanted to adapt the technology for their methane-based ships. The Vixisti, who had once supported humanity's quarantine, now eagerly sought to learn their defensive integration techniques. "It's approved," Syleth announced, his form glowing with a new color that even the oldest council members had never seen, the shade of paradigm shift. The Office of Civilian Defense Integration will be established immediately, with humanity as its founding member. As the chamber celebrated, Emily received a neural transmission from Captain Rodriguez, ready to begin diplomatic missions whenever you give the word. The Paradise Voyager's classroom modules are already being configured for interspecies training. "We've achieved more than survival today," Cooper said quietly to Emily. "We've changed the fundamental nature of galactic civilization." "No," Emily corrected him, watching as human ships across Earth's orbit continued their dual roles, each one a testament to humanity's innovative spirit. "We've shown them that civilization doesn't have to choose between peace and preparedness. We've given them hope." Above them, Mike O'Malley's garbage scow finished another debris collection run, its powerful weapons once again disguised as cleaning equipment. But now it did so openly, proudly demonstrating how civilian duty and defensive capability could coexist. The Space Lords had wanted to see humanity's greatest achievement. Instead, they'd witnessed the birth of a new age in galactic history, one where every civilian vessel could be a guardian, every merchant a defender, and every peaceful mission a shield against darkness. The human Armada had emerged not just as a fleet, but as a blueprint for civilization's future among the stars.